Let's get you framed up and in focus. Click the links for Odysee and BitChute. All right, so the media tries to do a little bit of coverage for these folks and portray them in the best light as can frame there as possible. So they make some interesting statements, and there's two things going on here: the bus and then later the flight. Okay, so they're crossing from Mexico, except they came from Haiti on a boat to Mexico, and nobody's ever wondering, like, who paid for the boats? Who paid for the buses that drove them? Who paid for the buses that drove the Guatemalans to Mexico and then to the United States border a few months ago? And who paid for these boats? And why didn't they just go straight to Florida? And why didn't they enter by the port of entry? And why didn't they seek sanctuary in the first country? International law, you must seek sanctuary in the first country you touch base on. That's Mexico. Mexico is a sanctuary country. They refuse to do that, and they bypass the port of entry. And the thing is, America doesn't want Haitians in America, and that's what Haiti is for. Haiti, if you leave, the thing with overflow escapism for countries like any country, Guatemala, Mexico, Haiti, is that when you leave when things get bad, you never stay there and fix the problem. So people they use it as an overflow. When things get bad, they leave. So the people who are there are the ones who are kind of left with this mess. It's like, you got to just stay there and fix the problems. Otherwise, wherever you go, you take yourself with you. So they're saying they're fleeing an earthquake, and then they also say they're fleeing gang violence. The Haitians are fleeing gang violence in Haiti, and like, I don't know what they're fighting over in Haiti. There's not a whole lot there. It's like, really, UN should just close the borders to Haiti and say, like, yeah, for the next 200 years, you just go back to agriculture, just go back to farming, just farm for the next 200 years to figure things out. So it says that they're fleeing gang violence, but, well, aren't they taking the gang violence with them, as we'll see? Anyway, so they reportedly made a bold attempt Monday to escape Border Patrol transport by allegedly attacking the driver. They were transporting a busload of immigrants. The thing is, it didn't even occur to the bus drivers and the Border and Customs Patrol to put cops on the bus. It's just a Department of Homeland Security contractor who's driving a bus. Like, it never occurred to them. They're like, oh, you're on a bus. It's like you're being processed. Why would you attack the driver? Like, people are, you expected them to behave like civil adults who are seeking sanctuary in a country. But no, they attack the driver, and then they allegedly began fighting with agents in a bid to get off the bus. Stop it, dog. Agents call for assistance, attempt to abscond into the brush and leave the area. Individuals were able to assault federal agents on the bus in an attempt to escape. Okay, the other thing was the airport. So, like, you're seeking sanctuary in a country, and you assault the people in the country, the federal agents of the country that you seek sanctuary in. It doesn't bode well for your excuse that you're leaving gang violence, because it seems like you're bringing the violent people with you. Okay, so they have to pull the bus over. They force the doors over, and they run for the hills. Authorities chase them down. They were whipping the migrants. No, they weren't whipping. They were leaning over the horse and grabbing them by a shirt. And they put them on a different bus, probably with more cops. So now, you're spending money to cops to babysit adults who aren't acting like adults, who are acting like violent thugs who left the country for the claim that they were leaving violence behind. It's like, no, you are the violent people. You're coming. So it's just a little bit of an excuse for them. This is just a continued case, in point of an extremely volatile situation. It's getting out of control. So who paid for the boats to take them from Haiti? Get in focus. Haiti to Mexico. Okay, and for some reason, Biden wants at least some of the Haitians gone. People are like, oh, if Biden's turning around and he's flying the Haitians home. There's like 15,000 at the border, and I think he's flying home 300 so far. So it's not like, why wouldn't you just put them on a boat? A boat can carry thousands of them, where an airplane can only carry about 300, 400 at a time, depending on the size. I don't know how big the Haitian airfield is, if it takes like the big planes, but it costs 10 times more to fly somebody back to Haiti than it costs to just put them on a boat back to Haiti. And, we teach them a lesson like, hey, this is not the way to do it. And, really stay in Haiti, make Haiti, make Haiti great again. So some Haitian deportees assaulted U.S. pilots and injured 3 ICE officers. Okay, so they're violent all the way around. You've had violent on the bus and violent when they got off the plane. Haitians deported from U.S. on Tuesday. They assaulted the pilots on board one of the flights when it arrived in Port-au-Prince and injured 3 U.S. immigration officers, according to a source familiar. Why would you do this? Is like really low IQ behavior when you're trying to seek sanctuary somewhere and you repeatedly attack the people who are trying to process you. You don't have a right to someone's country. You've got to stay in Haiti and make Haiti great. Unrest broke out shortly after a flight carrying single adult men arrived and released the men to Haitian authorities on the... Yeah, what are Haitian authorities like? Was it like an old Toyota bus for 100 Haitian cops? And the source said several men stormed into the recently arrived flight carrying families. The men assaulted the pilots of that plane, who work for a government contractor licensed to fly deportation flights, while the families were still on board. 3 ICE officers also attacked on the plane, each suffering. So heaven forbid the Border Patrol use the horses to get them back to port. Like, if you're Haitian, you're taking an L on this. You're saying we're trying to escape the violence, and it's very clear that you people are the violent ones. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys on the next episode.